Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez and welcome to my channel, Genie. Today we're going to learn how to play the ancient card drafting game, Archaeology, the New Expedition. This 2 to 5 player game designed by Phil Walker Harding and published by Z-Man Games. In this game you are an archaeologist digging up ancient treasures in Egypt, but there are many hidden dangers in the desert trying to take away your goods. From dangerous thieves to competitive archaeologists to the elements themselves. Will you be able to walk away and go down in history as the world's greatest archaeologist? Or will your findings be lost in the sands of time? Find out as we go to the table and learn how to play Archaeology. Set aside the map, thief, sandstorm, and tent cards. When you're playing with a 2 or 3 player game, return the broken tablet and broken pendant to the box, as we will not be using these in this game. Since we are playing a 2 player game, we will be returning those to the box. Shuffle the remaining cards into one deck. And I'll use my Genie magic now. Like so. Deal 4 cards to each player, face down. Each players take these into their hands and gets to look at them, keeping them hidden. Each player also takes 1 tent card and will place it in front of them. And we return the other tent cards back to the box. Deal 5 cards from the deck face up in the middle of the table. Throughout the game, the face-up treasures in the middle of the table are called the marketplace. Then we shuffle the monument tiles. And reveal 1. Return the others to the box. Each monument requires a certain number of treasures to be placed nearby. Each brown circle represents a chamber. For each chamber, prepare a pile with as many treasure cards as the number shows. For this game, though, because we're going to use the Great Pyramid, and we'll return the rest to the box. And so we prepare the chamber, so we need a pile of 2, a pile of 5, and a pile of 8. According to the number of players, use the correct number of sandstorm and thief cards. Return the remaining to the box. So, since we're having a 2-player game, we need 1, 2, 3, 4 thieves, and we'll return the rest to the box. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sandstorm cards. No returning those to the box. So then we'll shuffle the Thief and Sandstorm and the map cards into our treasure deck. And we'll use the Genie magic now. Like so. And this will now be referred to as the dig site. And that completes the setup. You're now ready to start digging. The first player is the last person to have put their feet in the sand. Each turn, a player digs for treasure and then may take another action. At the start of their turn, the player must dig for treasure by drawing the top card from the dig site. If it is a treasure, the player has found that treasure, and then they add that card to their hand without being revealed to other players. A player may have any number of cards in their hand during the game. However, if it is a thief card, that player has met a thief at the dig site and will use him to steal treasure from another player. After being drawn, the thief is discarded face up on the table and allows players to track how many of the thief cards are left to be drawn. A little note, I recommend that any sandstorm or thief cards you get, you put in a separate discard pile as opposed to putting it in the main discard pile, just so you can keep track. The player who drew the thief must choose an opponent to steal from and take one card from the player's hand without looking. This card is then added to their hand without revealing it to the other players. If no opponents have cards in their hands, then nothing can be stolen, and the thief card is simply discarded face up in the table. A sandstorm has struck all players, causing them to lose some of their treasures. These treasures are soon recovered from the desert by local merchants and end up in the marketplace. After being drawn, the sandstorm card is discarded face up, and once again we're going to kind of put it in its own separate one so that way we can keep track of how many sandstorms we have. This allows the player to track this, and this makes it easier. First, players decide if they would like to use their tent card or not and take shelter. Starting with the player to the left of whoever drew the sandstorm, each player declares if they will use their tent or not. If a player decides to use their tent, it is discarded from the game. So Jordan will use her tent, but I will not. And they will not, and the sandstorm will not affect them. If a player decides not to use their tent or has previously used it, then the sandstorm will affect them. Now the sandstorm takes effect. Starting with the player to the left of whoever drew the sandstorm, each player who did not use their tent must discard half their cards rounded down. Players choose which cards they lose. The lost cards now belong to the marketplace and are placed face up in the middle of the table. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I need to get rid of 3 cards, so I'll do 1, 2, 3. There we go. 3 cards. That's just because I had 6 cards in hand. After the sandstorm has taken effect, the player who drew the sandstorm restarts their turn by digging for treasure again. So I can take another card. It's a treasure card, so I'm fine. In other words, after drawing a sandstorm card, a player gets to draw again until they draw either a treasure or a thief. I drew a treasure, I'm good. After digging for treasure, the player may also trade at the marketplace, explore the monument, and sell treasure to the museum. Except for the explore action, the player may take these actions any number of times each turn and in any order, or choose to take none of these actions on their turn. We can trade at the marketplace. To do this, the player may trade any number of cards in their hand for any number of cards in the marketplace of equal or lesser trading value. The treasure's trading value is listed in the top corners of the card. If the cards chosen from the marketplace are lesser value than those traded in, the difference is just simply lost. There's no change. The player may trade with the marketplace multiple times in one turn. Any number of cards may be in the marketplace at one time. It is helpful to arrange cards in the marketplace by type. So I can discard this card and take these 2 because it equals the value. And I'll just kind of slide these up to fill it in. You can also explore a monument if you have any map cards. They may be used to explore the monuments and gain more treasure. According to each monument, the player may discard 1 or more map cards from their hand to take a given number of treasure cards from the monument's chamber. So for the Great Pyramid, we need one map card to explore the first chamber, 2 map cards to explore the second, and 3 map cards to explore the first. All cards taken from the monuments are added to the player's hand without being revealed to any of them. So we'll discard the map, go through the first chamber, take a card, place it face down. I'll show you the card I took, but you usually keep that a secret. You discard the map card, but discarded map cards are actually removed from the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually put this off camera to remove that, so you can't use them again. Most chambers may only be explored once in the game. Exceptions are... Oh, so I take all these. There are exceptions in the rule book. However, I'll let you discover that for yourself. Now, all players may choose to sell a set of 1 or more treasures of the same type from their hand to the museum. These sets are worth money at the end of the game. The value of the treasures is determined by the selling price listed on the bottom of its card. For most treasures, you will notice 99% of these values increased greatly with each card in the set. However, pot shards and parchment scraps, that would be this, broken cups, tablets, and pendants must be fully assembled to make a good profit. This is a complete set and is needed for their value to be substantially increased. When players decide to sell a set of treasures, they announce to the other players that they will be selling them, and then they place the cards. So I'm going to sell these 4 parchment scraps, and then you place them face up in front of you, and I'm going to place them face up in front of me off camera. Overlap in an overlapping row, like so that all cards remain visible. Each time a set of treasure cards is sold, it must be placed in a new drop pile. Cards cannot be added to sets of treasures that have already been sold. A player cannot sell a set containing more treasures than the maximum number. So I have a 5th one, but this one would have to start a new set. I cannot add it to that set of 4. It cannot exceed that because the parchment only goes up to 4. The player may, however, sell multiple sets of the same type of treasure. The player may sell to the museum multiple times in one turn. Sold treasures cannot be stolen by thieves or lost in sandstorms. When the player has finished taking actions on their turn, play passes to the next player, moving clockwise around the table. When there are no cards left in the deck, play continues, but players no longer dig for treasures at the start of their turn. Players continue taking actions as usual on their turn, or they may pass and take no actions. However, if all players pass in sequence, then the first player who passed must sell at least one of their cards to the museum when play returns to them. When every player is left without cards in their hand, the game is over. Each player calculates the total value of what they sold to the museum during the game. The selling value of each set sold is calculated separately. These values are then added together, and the player with the highest total wins. In case of a tie, the tied players count the total number of cards that they sold to the museum. Whoever has the lowest total is the winner. That's all you need to know to play Archaeology. If you have any questions about this game, please put them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell to be notified for videos just like this. And if you're a fan of the channel as a whole, consider becoming a Patreon supporter on our Patreon page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, which can give you early access to how to play videos just like this. If you are a current Patreon supporter, thank you very much. Your donations mean a lot to this channel. And thank you for clicking on this video as well. Be on the lookout for our gameplay video on Archaeology. But until then, thanks for the views.